Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Chamber of Commerce Meet the Mayoral Candidates Forum, hosted by the Combined Chambers of Commerce of the Atherton Tablelands. Now, if you're not a member of your local chamber, we encourage you to join. It's a great way to get involved in the community and connect with other business owners and business leaders, help shape the conversation about how we improve the economic and social fabric of our communities. My name's Jason Chuck. I'm the Treasurer of the Malanda Chamber of Commerce and General Manager of Tableland Veterinary Service, and I'll be our moderator for tonight's event. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. Now, it's an absolute credit to our local community that so many people have made the effort to attend tonight, and it speaks to the wonderful civic engagement of our district. Nowhere is this more evident, though, than among our 5 candidates, 4 of whom are able to join us this evening, who've accepted the public scrutiny and judgment that comes with elected office in the spirit of making our region an even better place to live and work for us all. Now, a little bit of quick housekeeping before we get started tonight. We are doing our best to record tonight's session on video and capture the audio, and subject to the quality of said video and audio, we'll be sharing that online over the next couple of days. Now, this has come about due to huge requests, particularly via Facebook. I appreciate that some people may not be comfortable with their voice being recorded, so if you do want to pose a question later this evening but aren't comfortable being captured on video or audio, then I've got some post-it notes just over on the bar there and some pens where you can write it down, and we'll share that question on your behalf. Also, if you would prefer then, obviously, or prefer not to be part of that video or audio capture, then obviously you're very welcome to exit now, and I'll give you the opportunity to do so. If you're seeking the toilets, you'll find those just outside. And if we have an emergency tonight, we'll be directed by the staff of the International Club to exit via the door over on the left, my left, sorry, so your right as you're facing the stage, and assemble in the car park outside. There's no smoking permitted inside the building, but you'll find a designated smoking area just out to the front of the building. And we also invite you to stay on for dinner after tonight's event, and I'd encourage you to quickly nip outside and make a booking now, because I imagine that they're going to be very busy a little later on. So the intention of tonight's forum is to give all of us, the voting public, an opportunity. Hold it up. Is that better? Okay. So to give us, the voting public, an opportunity to better understand the policies, perspectives, and vision of our candidates, so that we can make a more informed choice in the upcoming Tablelands Regional Council mayoral election. So in the spirit of getting through as much content as possible tonight, we ask the candidates to keep their responses succinct and to around 1 minute, so that we might get through as many of those topics and questions as we possibly can. And we do have a timekeeper tonight. John, I was going to ask you to ring the bell. Is the bell just down there so we can... You got a bell there somewhere? We've got a little bell that John will ring. There we go. To try and keep our candidates on track tonight. I'll aim to give all the candidates equal opportunity to respond, so that they can all outline their vision for the Tablelands. We've got a prepared set of questions that we're going to work through tonight, but if time permits, there'll be an opportunity to take questions from the floor a little later on. Now, out of respect to all of our candidates, and particularly to the position of Mayor, I ask that we keep all of our questions tonight respectful and dignified. If you intend to ask a question, please write it down first. And as I mentioned, we've got some post-it notes and pens over here to help you do so. That just helps keep the questions nice and clear and saves you having to frame it off the cuff. When the time comes, please raise your hand when I call for questions, and I'll invite you to stand, give your name, and ask your question. Questions may be rejected if they're deemed inappropriate or disrespectful to any of our candidates. Please also refrain from interrupting the candidates when they're speaking, and that goes for you guys as well, please. We're all here to listen and learn, and interruptions only make it harder for others to hear what's being said. I'd also ask you now to please turn your mobile phones to silent, and if you do need to have a conversation with one of our other attendees tonight, then please do that outside rather than inside. To get underway, I'd now like to invite each of our four candidates that are able to attend, to give a short 5-minute introduction, giving a little bit of their background, bit about their vision and philosophy and priorities for the region, should they be successful in our election coming up. And we're going to do this in alphabetical order, just to keep it semi-randomised. And then as we go through our questions a little later on, I'll shift the order of the respondents around so they all get a chance to respond first. So with that in mind, I'll ask Dave first to please stand up and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Did you want me to use that mic at all?
No, there's one just there. That would be fine, and I'll ask you guys to share that.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Dave Milne, and I'm seeking your support to become the next Mayor of the Tablelands Regional Council. My story is very much a regional one. I was born and raised in a small rural town in Yorktown, South Australia, a community of around 800 people. Growing up in a country town taught me the importance of community, hard work, integrity, and looking after your neighbours, values that have stayed with me throughout my life. I began my career with the ANZ Bank, where I worked for 17 years across 3 states in a variety of banking and management roles. Those years gave me a new, strong understanding of financial management, leadership, customer service, whilst also reinforcing the unique opportunities and challenges faced by regional communities. That journey eventually brought me to the Tablelands as a relationship manager with the ANZ in Atherton, before taking on the additional responsibilities of branch manager. After 4 years with the bank, my wife Julie and I made the decision to invest in this region by purchasing and operating our own small business, which we proudly ran for 18 years. Julie and I have a wonderful blended family of 6 adult children, 8 grandchildren, with most of our family continuing to call the Tablelands home. Julie also comes from a well-known pioneering Duffy family, whose history on the Tablelands spans generations. Together, we have built our lives here, and this region is proudly a place we call home. Serving our community has always been important to me. For the past 7.5 years, I have had the privilege of serving as the councillor for Division 3. During that time, I have approached the role on a full-time commitment because I believe our communities deserve representatives who are available, engaged, and accessible. This term, I have also had the honour of serving as Deputy Mayor, and over the past 2 months, Acting Mayor. These roles have given me an even broader appreciation of the responsibilities of local government and the importance of providing stable, considered leadership. Over recent years, Council has faced significant challenges, from natural disasters and infrastructure demands to rising costs and financial pressures. Working together, we have strengthened Council's financial position while continuing to deliver essential services and invest in important community infrastructure. I believe that strong financial management is not an end in itself. It provides the foundation that allows councils to continue investing in the services and infrastructure our communities rely upon. As Mayor, my commitment is straightforward. I want to continue building on those foundations by providing experienced, accountable, transparent leadership. I want to ensure council remains financially sustainable, delivers value for our ratepayers, invests in essential infrastructure, and continues to advocate strongly for every community in our region. The Tablelands is made up of many unique towns and villages, each with its own identity and priorities. Whether you live in Atherton, Yungaburra, Malanda, Millerman, Ravenside, Herberton, or one of their smaller communities, every resident deserves to know that their voice matters and that their council is working in their best interests. I also believe we need to look beyond today's challenges. Good leadership is not simply about managing the present. It's about preparing for the future. That means supporting agriculture, encouraging local business and tourism, planning responsibly for growth, strengthening our infrastructure, and ensuring the Tablelands remains one of the best places in Queensland to live, work, and raise a family. The decision facing our community in this election is about more than choosing a mayor. It's about choosing the leadership that will guide our region through the next chapter. I believe my experience in banking, business, and local government, combined with my commitment to this community, has prepared me well for that responsibility. It would be an honour to serve as your mayor, and I respectfully ask for your support.
Thank you, Dave. Next, I'll invite Kevin Cardew to introduce himself.
Thank you, Dave. Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, my name is Kevin Cardew, and I'm currently a serving councillor at PRC. I'd like to thank the Chambers for putting this event on to enable you to hear from all of us candidates. Why am I putting my hand up for the mayoral position? Well, I'm a born and bred Tabelander with a strong focus on returning Tablelands back to a well-maintained and picturesque place to live that we love. I have extensive local government experience, having worked in local government for over 40 years, in building construction, civil construction, building surveying, and currently as a serving councillor. When I was first elected in 2020, I ran with a strong focus on bringing council back to base and focusing on core fundamental local government values. As a councillor, I have not managed to achieve this. However, as mayor, I see this goal being much more achievable and more urgent than it was 6 years ago. Back to basics. That's my statement I've been running on for quite a while. Back to basics does not mean taking a simple view of local government, but rather we must do the basic things properly and efficiently before we can move forward. The recent council satisfaction survey shows community satisfaction is at a record level. And I believe this is due to failing maintenance of infrastructure, town centres, poor engagement with community, the general appearance of our region, and fear that council has failed the ratepayers in this basic responsibility. Part of this dissatisfaction is also the recent community reaction to the potential sale of assets. And I propose that if elected as mayor, I seek to revisit the asset divestment process and seek proper community input to rebuild confidence and trust. I strongly believe that local governments, essential focus should be maintaining critical infrastructure, including roads, stormwater drainage, roadside stations, town centres, and essential utility services. To do this properly, council must rebuild capacity within its own workforce to maintain assets and respond quickly to maintenance needs and community requests. I strongly believe council's operational plan and expenditure urgently need to be reviewed to put more boots on the ground with a strong focus on asset maintenance. This may mean a reduction in some services if savings in operations cannot be made. There's no easy way to achieve a redirection of council. I voted against the last 3 budgets because I believe that council itself must seek efficiency in its operation, not just expect the ratepayers to cough up for shortfalls in operations by increasing rates. The only way to reduce rates is to reduce the operational spend, and I will seek to keep rate increases in line with CPI. I will continue to strongly advocate for better health services to attract more health professionals and specialists to our region. I will also advocate for better pay and local university support for the education of our younger generation and future leaders of our community to keep them here to grow our community. To rebuild relationship between council and the community, I will seek to re-establish advisory committees to provide direct formal advice to council, a system that worked before can work again. Change is also needed in the way council communicates and deals with community and must be more open, transparent, forthcoming with information. The recent numbers of confidential matters has been excessive and unnecessary, and this must be reduced to our community to understand and trust council decision making. All of the above means that as your mayor, my prime aim will be to return ownership to the Tablelands Regional Council and to the people of the Tablelands. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Next, I'd like to invite Kylie Lang to stand and introduce herself.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for attending. Really appreciate that you have taken your time to come and listen to us speak. Can everyone hear me okay in the back? Excellent, perfect. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kylie Lang. I have lived in the Tablelands my entire life, and I have family roots throughout the whole region. As a dedicated volunteer in the community, I understand the value of what we can do when we work together. My goal is fostering a welcoming, resilient, and prosperous community where families, businesses, farmers, volunteers, and community organisations can thrive. Transparency is essential. I believe our community deserves to understand why decisions are made, what alternatives exist, and how these decisions benefit the community, aligning with the council's plan. As a community, we need to continue collaborating to create a Tablelands that meets today's needs, while also being stable and ready for tomorrow's generations. This includes addressing our ageing infrastructure, a hot topic at the moment, I believe, which is expensive to maintain, and navigating high competition of state and federal funding is always on the cards. To tackle these challenges, we must look inward for efficiencies, requiring prioritization, frameworks, and smarter approaches to achieve better outcomes. I aim to explore, as my fellow councillor said, re-establishing the advisory committees so we can work alongside you, the community, and delivering what you want and getting better outcomes. I'm committed to providing residents, businesses, volunteers, and community organisations with a stronger voice. A voice in shaping the future of the Tablelands, strengthening community trust, transparency, and governance stability will be my priorities. Communication is vital. In my experience, regardless of the agency or organisation, communication is often lacking and always needs improvement. I recognise this is an area that council is currently addressing and is lacking, and I will continue to develop because it requires ongoing attention. My focus will be on ensuring the community input in key decisions, helping everyone understand what is decided, why it matters, and how it benefits you and the region. Not every decision will be popular, never is, but open and timely communication is crucial for building trust. A strong council begins with an informed and engaged community, that is you. Like many regions, ours face increasing pressures regarding housing availability and affordability. We must work with government, community or housing providers, industry and the private sector to help increase this supply. At the same time, social cohesion and volunteer capacity is under pressure. With an ageing demographic and the challenge of retaining young people, whether for education or employment, is contributing to these issues. As Mayor, I will provide steady leadership by listening, making balanced decisions, and having the courage to do what is right, even when faced with the tough decisions. I'm dedicated to being fair, transparent, and respectful, building community confidence in our leadership and strengthening the relationship between the community and the council. I stand here as a long-term Tablelander, shaped by the same resilience, generosity, and spirit that has shaped all of you and this region. Together, we can strengthen our communities, protect what makes the Tablelands special, and plan wisely for the future. I'm committed to listening, working with you, and ensuring our region thrives for generations to come. This is not about me. This is not about you. This is about us, our families, our communities, and the generations who will call the Tablelands home long after us. The decisions we make today should build the Tablelands deserve tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. And last but certainly not least, Mark.
Thanks, Mike. Welcome everybody, and thanks very, very much for attending. It's great to see you all here tonight. Looks like we might have 250 people. Congratulations to the Chambers of Commerce for putting the show on. It's been a lot of work for them, and particularly the Malanda mob. They've been really hard at it. So thank you very much for that. It's an important thing. A little bit about me. I'm a blowy. I was born in Africa, in Rhodesia, what was then Southern Rhodesia. It went through a few name changes before I left in the mid-90s to come to Australia with my late wife and 2 kids. It was then being run by Little King Johnny, as you all probably remember. And not long after getting here, I lost my wife to cancer. I brought up 2 beautiful girls of my own, and I'm eternally grateful to Australia for affording me that. It's not something I could have done anywhere else. The Tablelands has been incredibly good to me, and since coming here 10 years ago, I've made a lot of good friends, wonderful people, and it was the dissent in the community, and I knew it long before the survey went out from council. People have been pissed off for a long time, and it's grown and it's grown and it's grown. And I don't mean anything against these 3 people standing here today. They've all done their best. It's a system that we work in, and it limits even what a man can do pretty heavily. And the state government gives us less and expects us to do more as a council. Council is very much the meat in the sandwich, caught between you and what the state government tell them they can do. It's a hard place to be. So thank you to these guys for doing it for as long as they have. And this is the first time I've ever run for an election. She's pretty hairy. I take my hat off to these guys for going through that time again. You'd think after once or twice you'd go, oh, look at that. But anyway, I think sometimes when a stew doesn't taste so good, you need to add some new ingredients, a bit more zest, a little bit of chili, spice it up a bit, come up with some new perspectives, and that's what I'm hoping I can bring if you elect. Is a new perspective. Everywhere I've worked in large organisations here and overseas. Team building is what I do. You're only as good as the team that is underneath you, or alongside you, should I say. And we've got some really well-meaning people on council, and I can see the other ones all here tonight. And they all do this for the right reason. And our kids and our grandkids, that's why they do it. That's why you see us old farts up there, except for no. I thought I better get that one in or I'll be in trouble. But each one of them, even as man, going back into the same system without a new perspective, I believe will be hampered. And that's why I put my hand up. I thought, no, I've built teams before with much less talented people. And I won't disagree with anything that anybody said here tonight. It's just how it gets put into practice. And the only way we can do that is to work as a team. And that team has not been evident for a long time in the TRC. So that's my take. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you to all of our candidates for their introductions. We're going to jump in now and get started with some of our prepared questions. And we're going to start with the theme of infrastructure and economic growth. I'm going to invite each of the candidates to respond to these questions independently, and we'll move through each of them to give them all a chance to be the first respondent to the question. But the first question we've got for you this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is how would you encourage investment and employment opportunities without compromising the environment charm of our towns and our community values? And I'd like to start with Kevin first, if we could move the microphone down to Kevin. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Infrastructure and growth. Right. We're getting back to basics and saying I'm not run with since becoming a councillor. Back to basics does not mean simply taking a simple view of local government, but rather we must do basic things properly and efficiently to move forward. It does not mean losing sight of other things important to the community, but the balance must be right. Three of the highest priorities I see in the next 5 years are getting traffic lights on Green Street section of Atherton to try and alleviate the traffic congestion in Atherton CBD. New street treatment plan for Atherton, as the existing plan is at critical end of life. Developing a new town planning scheme for the whole of the TRC that will encompass future vision for the whole of the community.
Thank you, Kevin. Kylie, I'll invite you to respond next.
Okay, so the questions have changed just a little tad, so we will be improvising here. As far as I'm concerned, we need to properly maintain what we have. Without that, what's the point? We need to make sensible investments in infrastructure that will support future growth, which has not been done very well in the past. That means maintaining the infrastructure we have and looking to the future for the infrastructure that we are going to need. One of my priorities is our core infrastructure, that's roads, water and wastewater. These are fundamental services, and they are also some of Council's largest long-term financial responsibilities. We need to continue to build on our financial responsibility to be able to do anything. That includes growth in tourism, agriculture, like everything. So no matter what we do, we just need to continue working on our financial growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. Mark.
Yep.
Thanks very much. We've got so much potential here in the Tablelands, but at the same time, we've got an amazing environment that really needs to be looked after. And there is also a potential for development to have a fairly severe impact on that environment. And that environment is one of our draw cards for tourism. And I think a change in some of the tourism we see busloads of people coming in for a day, going to one or two places and going again. We need to promote more ecotourism where we've got people coming in, spending more time and spending more money in the local community. So more dollars per head and less heads equals less impact. And that's my take on development and looking after the environment. All yours, Dave.
Thank you.
Roads, rates and rubbish. They're not a vision. They are council's regulated responsibilities. It's important, but it cannot mean us standing still. My vision is to ensure we deliver those core services exceptionally well, whilst also planning for the future through economic development, tourism, water security and community infrastructure. My vision is also to create the conditions for sustainable economic growth across the Tablelands. That means supporting agricultural sector, growing tourism, encouraging small business, attracting new investment, and advocating strong to state and federal governments for the infrastructure our region needs. Council can't create every job, but it can create an environment where businesses have the confidence to invest and grow. We are open for business. If our economy is strong, our communities will be stronger, and that benefits every town across the Tablelands. Economic development isn't just about today's jobs, it's about creating opportunities so our children and grandchildren can build their futures here on the Tablelands. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Kylie, I'll get you to respond first to the next question. And that question is, how does clearly one of the slogans of this election is back to basics, and with rates continuing to increase, residents very conscious of getting value for their rate dollars. How does this back to basics approach being promoted ensure that our community doesn't miss opportunities for growth, tourism, economic development and improved facilities?
Again, it's financial stability. Without financial stability, we cannot progress. We cannot do anything. And to do that, we need to ensure that we are looking after our facilities. We are looking after divestment. We are looking after our investments. Yes, unfortunately, rate increases do come into that concept as well. However, if we can look within the organisation for inefficiencies, so we can stop putting that onto you, then we can look after those infrastructures, our main business, to make sure that we can grow through agriculture, through our community, through our children, through our schools, through our tourism. It is all connected, but it all unfortunately comes down to that one factor, financial stability.
Thanks, Kylie. Mark, do you mind responding next, please?
I certainly don't. Thank you very much. Back to basics. I agree with Kevin wholeheartedly on this. He was the one who started it. And we're not doing the basics very well at the moment. They need to be looked after. And looking after those basics, like roads, people coming here for investment, they're going to pull in and go, nah, we're not going to invest here. There's no roads. They're all potholes and whatnot. Getting the basics right will bring the investment and will drive future growth. So that's my take on this one. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Dave.
Thanks, Mark. Back to basics. It's important, but it can't mean we stand still. Roles of council nowadays is far more complex than it was decades ago. We need to plan for our future. Strong leadership is about looking after today's needs while planning responsibly for tomorrow. A council that only manages today's problems without planning for tomorrow risks leaving future generations with bigger problems and higher costs. I mentioned before about economic development. We are open for business. We need to, economic development isn't just about today's jobs. It's about creating opportunities so our children, grandchildren can build their futures here on the Tablelands. This is about generational economic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. And Kevin.
Well, I think I've mentioned back to basics a few times. I won't continue with that. Economic development. The agricultural industry is by far the economic driver in our economy, followed by tourism. In order to maintain sustainable economic growth, we need to support this industry. And in doing so, this will allow for small businesses to grow. Encouraging investment and employment opportunity goes hand in hand with maintaining economic growth. And by having good initiatives built into the town planning scheme, will ensure the right balances for community are achieved.
Thank you, Kevin. There's been a fair bit of talk already this evening about infrastructure needs for the Tablelands. So I'd love to ask you all what you believe are the Tablelands' 3 highest priorities for infrastructure development over the next 5 years and why. And we'll start with Mark this time, please.
Thanks, Mike. Well, number 1 and number 2 are simple. Yungaburra and Atherton sewage plants. $160 million worth of infrastructure that needs to go in the next couple of years. It's got to start next year. Where it starts is debatable, but both these systems are huge works and need to be done soon, especially the way the Tablelands is growing. Now, I can't remember where I wrote down the other bit because they run us a bit here. Oh, yeah, access, roads. The road between Mareeba and Atherton. It's a shocker. You go on there at 6:30 in the morning or at 5:30 in the afternoon, coming through Tolga, yeah, it's dangerous.
Thanks, Mark. Where did we get to? Dave.
Thank you. Firstly, upgrades to the wastewater treatment plants in Atherton and Yungaburra in the coming years, estimated at a combined $100 million in today's values. Costs continue to escalate, so there's still uncertainty where the costs will eventually land. Secondly, water security for a growing region and to lessen the competition with agricultural operations also reliant on sourcing from bores. We have created $20 million Ravensholme water upgrades recently, $10 million for Malanda water upgrades. The third one, core critical infrastructure that needs to be delivered to support current and future housing growth. On current estimates, our long-term financial plan reveals $540 million of infrastructure will be required in today's values. No doubt that will continue to escalate as the time draws close.
Thank you, Dave. Kevin.
Yeah, thanks. I've already touched on what I think varieties of infrastructure are. Like I said, getting traffic lights on Grove Street intersection is a must to alleviate the congestion of Main Street. And we, as council, previous council, this council, we've been advocating main roads to do that. The next one, of course, that everyone's touched on is sewage treatment plant. Well, the Atherton sewage treatment plants are critical end of life, and we need to replace. That's around about an $80 million spend that we've got to work on. Most important, one of the most important ones for me is development. We're just about to start developing a new town planning scheme. And that's going to forge the way forward for all of us and our younger generation in the future. So I believe that we really need to concentrate on how we build this new town planning scheme, because it is going to drive the direction that we're going to go in the future. And I encourage everybody in the community to have input into it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And Kylie. Just while we wait for Kylie to respond, we're running well for time so far. So once Kylie's had a chance to respond to this question, I'm going to invite questions from the floor relating to infrastructure and economic growth. So if you've got something that you would like to ask the candidates, you've got 2 minutes probably while Kylie responds to this question to jot something down, think of it, and I'll ask if anyone has any questions from the floor on this topic of infrastructure and economic growth shortly. Thank you.
Roads are obviously a major issue across our region. Whether they're council or state controlled, the condition of our road network affects farmers, businesses, school buses, emergency services, and virtually every resident. Water and wastewater infrastructure are equally important. Some of the decisions we need to make in that area involve significant investment. So we need a strong long-term planning and responsible financial management, as I keep saying. We also need to consider our community infrastructure, including sewage, facilities and housing. These are important to the livability of our towns and to attracting families, events and visitors to the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Kylie. Now, do we have any questions from the floor on infrastructure and economic development? Yes, we have one down the front here. Sorry.
No, you're right.
Thank you, John. Would you mind just giving your name before asking your question? Thank you.
My name is Vicky, and I'm a Miller girl now living in Atherton. My question to the blind people here is, how does council intend to rehouse the many community groups that use the Atherton school once it gets demolished? That I believe is the infrastructure question of great importance. And secondly, on that, how does council deal with the community feeling about local community halls and other community infrastructure being closed, sold off, whatever? Thank you.
Right. Thank you. I'll start at this end with Kevin so I can pass you the mic.
Yeah, thanks. So your first question of how we're going to house people in the old primary school, well, that process has currently been undertaken, and so I'm not really privy with the negotiation. We've been left out of that, and there's a series of meetings being held in the next couple of weeks with each of those community groups, but we will find them somewhere to go. The investment was the second part of your question. And I've said on many occasions, do I agree with divestment? Well, yes, I do. Do I agree with the way council went about it? Well, no, I don't. I think we have a lot of aging and non-fit for purpose buildings, underutilised buildings. There's lots of them. And the whole cold hard reality is we can't afford to maintain them into the future. It's just cold hard reality. Just can't do it. So we've got to start divesting. So, sorry, run out of time. Come and see me after if you like.
Mark, have you got some comments on those questions?
I certainly do. Again, as Kev just said, divestment is a reality of life. Many of these buildings are past the use by date. They're underutilised. But that said, that there are important buildings that have been sort of stuck on the list that people are getting really upset about. But remember that just because it's on the list doesn't mean it's going to get knocked down. And I know many people think this sort of thing's happened before. And this is where community consultation is so important. In the past, I know that council stuck a policy document on their website and called for public comments. How many of you read that 300-page document? I don't see any hand. Oh, there's one. There's one.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Nicky, for your question. Divestment, the first point, I absolutely loathe that name. It should have been called simply an asset review, because that's what it is. We each do it in our daily lives. If you own a small business, you do asset reviews to see the functionality, if they're still fit for purpose, and they're going to meet your needs going into the future. Kev was correct. Officers are currently consulting with user groups of those facilities and understanding their needs, their utilisation, etc. That hasn't come to council as yet. And once that does come to council, we'll be able to make a determination. The divestment itself, or the asset review, has been uncomfortable. It's been difficult. It's been challenging, but it's been necessary. Asset reviews should have been undertaken as part of the amalgamation of councils back in 2008. It wasn't. We've kicked the can down the road too many times. Now we have no choice but to make those decisions, and this is where we sit. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kylie?
Well, going last doesn't give me much to say, considering I agree with both of these councillors. The divestment process has been very uncomfortable, not just for us as councillors, but for you as the community, and I sincerely apologise for that. Communication has been lacking, and that is one thing that we are working on currently as a council on how we can better do that for you. Definitely, if you have any suggestions, please send them my way, because whatever you think we can do that way better, please let me know. I've spoken to several groups within that community group facility as one of the users of that facility, and they all have been speaking to staff, and they are all extremely happy with the way things are progressing, the communication they've been getting from the staff. Yes, it was bad in the beginning, but we are getting better, and that's all we can do is get better. So yes, please help us get better.
Thank you, Kylie. Now, I know infrastructure in particular is a hot topic, and there may well be other questions in the audience. I can see a hand raised just there. We're going to keep moving on just so we can get to some other themes, but please hold your question, because I'd say there'll be time at the end to come back to it, if that's okay. Next, we are going to move on to financial management. And the first question I'll pose to Dave, which is, how would you balance keeping rates affordable while still maintaining and improving essential infrastructure and services?
Thank you. Over the past 2 years, we've made some difficult but necessary decisions to strengthen council's financial position. Today, Tablelands Regional Council is recognised by the Queensland Audit Office as one of only 17 councils out of 77 in Queensland that are above the line. They're financially sustainable. If elected mayor, I'll continue that disciplined approach, because financial sustainability is what allows us to invest in the roads, the water infrastructure, and community facilities that our communities rely on. Approximately $1 billion